time to play ball. Welcome to the podcast with no limits. Whether it be sports, current events, or random thoughts, this is the place to step in and stay a while. Your host is a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, a former minor league baseball umpire, and a man with strong opinions. Welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast and your host, Matt Hersema.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Get Home Safe. Happy Friday to everybody out there and Merry Christmas. We are officially in the month of December. So we're in Christmas mode, at least most of us now. I've been in Christmas mode for about a month already, but here we are officially. Christmas season is upon us. 20-something days left until the big day. So whether you celebrate on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, it's coming quick. Hopefully you got your decorations up by now. You've started the Christmas shopping. I know I kind of have, but I kind of haven't. So a lot of work to be done here in the next few weeks. It's going to come so fast that I'm just like, oh, so much to do. So trying not to stress out, trying to enjoy myself, especially with this podcast, just sitting down and recording my thoughts and bringing on some great people on Fridays like I've been doing, which has just been a blessing for me. So today we're going to be joined by another great guest. We are going to be joined by Scott Weidman. Scott Weidman was a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, as am I. Played in the very famous 1977 CIF Football Championship game. The Rio Hondo Prep defeated Montclair Prep in triple overtime. He was actually the quarterback. Now, I don't get to brag very often, but there's a kind of a connection here. Scott Wideman, the first quarterback of the first 8-man championship team, and yours truly, the quarterback of the final 8-man championship team in 2001. So a little connection there, although, you know, Scott was a far better player than I ever was. But Mr. Weidman, as I grew up knowing him, has been a longtime coach of the Cardinals, the West Covina Cardinals. I know the names have changed, but he's still kind of that guy at Wingate Park that I think is one of the more proud Cardinals from those days, kind of the founding and such. Maybe we'll talk to him about that. Talk to him about Rio Hondo Prep football, past and present, kind of his thoughts on that, and just kind of catch up with the guy because Scott Weidman is a character. You know, I've been wanting to talk with him a long time on the podcast, and sometimes you got to push people a little bit, just get him to come on here. And I'm really pleased that he's on here today. We're going to talk that new USC football hire with Lincoln Riley. I'm sure he has some thoughts on that and just his overall experience being a part of Kare Youth League so long. I think you can't be around Scott Weidman for more than a minute without laughing. He's just that guy, and somebody that I know a lot of people have wanted to listen to. His social media posts are hilarious, a very dry sense of humor. So whether you're affiliated with Rio Hondo, Kare Youth League or not, I think you will enjoy this interview with Mr. Scott Weidman. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into it on our Friday edition of the Get Home Safe podcast with our featured guest today, Mr. Scott Weidman. Okay, it is my privilege to be joined by the assistant director of Kare Youth League. He's in charge of Wingate Park, one of the original founding members of the West Covina Cardinals. He's a big-time Trojan fan, Rams fan, my kind of guy. Mr. Scott Weidman, welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast.
Thank you, Matthew. Good to be here.
You know, I did a little intel on behind the scenes, Mr. Weidman. I asked some of your former players from Kare Youth League back in the day.
All of it.
All of it lies. Jan Balon and Jordan Ross. Do those names ring a bell? Yes.
Awesome guys.
I believe their kids actually were in Kare Youth League, at least for a short time anyway.
Yeah.
Yes. I think Jan told me one time his kid like tackled someone in a basketball game and you were coaching and you were like, hey, whose kid is that? And Jan was all fired up, of course. But anyway, it's funny to see those guys be dads now. Jan asked me specifically, asked Mr. Weidman what it was like to be one of the coaches of the one of the greatest organizations the Cardinals KWL has ever had. I was like, whoa, settle down, Jan.
Well, that's true, but we knew how to put the championship banners on the wall. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Some great kids.
Yes.
One of the original founders, Don Murphy, Mike Murphy's brother, founded it. And when he had to move on for whatever reason, they said, okay, Mr. Weidman, you're you're in charge of the Cardinals. They have a awards picnic next week. I said, okay. So it was at Cameron Park, and I set out the tables and chairs, and 13 kids showed up.
Wow.
That's what we had. One team, but actually it was 2 teams, 13 kids. I don't know how that worked. But.
No, and I remember when the Gators started in the 80s, and then it was the Tigers and the Cardinals. I mean, those 3 names were iconic: Gators, Tigers, and Cardinals. And I don't like that it's changed. That's a different story. But what was kind of the timeline? Did they all kind of start one after another? Do you remember?
Yeah, Gators started about 2 years later. Tigers, Jim Key and Jim Davis started it. And then Don Murphy started the Cardinals probably in 88. And I think I joined in 90 when he had to go. And John Dunia and I were doing it for a while. And then Phil Horton came on, and we kind of exploded then.
Yeah. See, when I think of the Cardinals, I think of you and Phil Horton. I mean, you 2 guys were just, you had the younger kids, he had the older kids, and it was always Weidman and Horton.
Yeah, that's quite a duo.
So Jordan Ross, my good friend, told me that, he came into Kare, and he was this little guy, super small, super athletic. And you guys thought you had the next Heisman winner. You had him out on the football field doing all kinds of stuff. And then you guys realized that he was a little older than the kids he was playing. At least that's the story I was told by Jordan.
Yes, we kind of stole a trophy from Mr. Bullinger. I didn't know it at the time, though, really. He was Mike Eckenberg's friend. I don't know if you remember Mike Eckenberg.
Oh, yeah. Man.
He was a brute right at the top of the weight limit, so he could do everything. Everybody hated him. And he was, can I bring a friend, Mr. Weidman? I said, sure. So he brings this little guy. We go, okay, I don't want you to get hurt. We'll try you out. And we run him at practice, and he runs through everybody 16 times. Anyway, turns out he was 2 years older than Mike, but he was like a flea weight. Anyway, Bullinger's going for the championship winning drive, and he throws a pass, which normally at first or second grade, whatever that was, works. But he's back there and he plays it like, who's the guy in the Rams? The D-back?
Ramsey?
Yeah, he plays it like Ramsey, picks it off, runs it back for a touchdown. And then after the season, he discovers he's 2 years older. I didn't even think to ask because he was so small.
Yeah.
Back in the day. So sorry,
sanctions.
Greg.
I call for sanctions on the Cardinals.
Yes.
That was awful.
We probably could take that banner off the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, Jordan was like, oh, we were running the option and everything. It was this little guy. I was like, because I never played against Jordan in football because he was my age, but always played lower level but I didn't know he went down 2 years.
Well, we kicked him back up in basketball. Whatever football's over, we kicked him up. We said, sorry, didn't even
Jordan
think to ask.
Ross. Oh, my good friend Jordan, fireman now, and Jan, he just moved out to Vegas. So my good buddies wanted to ask them about some memories, and so it's fun to start it off that way. But Mr. Wideman, you started there at the Cardinals and at Wingate Park, and I don't know, it feels like you've never left. Every time I go down to Wingate, which isn't that often, but I see your truck, I see you there. You're just kind of holding down the fort.
I live here. You're gonna bury me on the 30-yard line out there somewhere.
We're gonna have an awesome plaque for you here.
Yes.
Here once.
He who kept the brown grass green or something like that.
Yeah. I remember Wingate, for me, when I first got there, I thought it was the coolest place, in the world, the old park before the remodel.
Yeah.
What are kind of some of your memories of the early days at Wingate Park, because it was still so new? And I don't know, and also, I guess when like, how do I say this? For those who have not coached at Wingate Park, it's very different than coaching there in the friendly confines of Arcadia, right?
There's actually shade out here. Hot summer day, you can find some respite somewhere. If you're, I don't know, when in the early days, it was basically they were roaming around looking for a place. The Gators started at Stanton School, and they were looking. The Tigers came along, and they didn't want to go to Stanton School. It was too much room, or too much of a hassle. They found this place, 6 foot tall weeds.
Yeah.
They went and asked the city, how can we get a hold of this? Or can we play there? I said, mow whatever you want, whatever you can mow, you can have. So Jim Key gets this big flail mower, chains, and he started mowing. That story went from there.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds similar to Arcadia was kind of discovered too.
Similar. Yeah.
Very
similar.
I remember, I was in 6th grade when you met. It was, I don't know how many people remember this, but it was so weird not being at Wingate when they did the remodel. For 1 year, I think the football games were played at Washington Elementary, which was like a block for me, which was great. Basketball, Sunrise Christian, I believe, and baseball was kind of all over the place, if I remember.
Yeah, we played basketball over there at Vanna School, I think.
Vanna, yeah.
Now it's houses.
And, the remodel was nice. It was cool. The hockey rinks, the club. I mean, but to me, the old Wingate Park, that's what I miss. I like the new stadiums and such, but there's something about the old ones. I mean, how do you feel about Wingate Park?
I agree somewhat with that. I'd like to get some new backstops out here, though. The old ones are looking pretty tired. But, back in the day, we used to have to tell kids to stay out of the ditch because there's needles in there and all kinds of good stuff. So there's some good things about the remodel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the creek, pulling kids out of the creek, you'd be in there for hours.
It's Tom Sawyer's heaven out here.
Yeah. Tom Sawyer's heaven, indeed. Good stuff.
Out of the creek, ready for the game with mud all over them.
Yeah, ready to go. You're warmed up. The Arcadia kids didn't have those distractions, at least not when I was.
We got all those championships.
That's right. It's I've always felt there's a different type of kid out in the East. I don't know. Maybe it's just a 605 freeway that separates us, but I think you get a toughness, maybe a different brand of kid, I think, out in the East.
Yeah, they're strange. Yeah, they're good.
Oh, good stuff. Well, Mr. Weidman, I want to talk to you about a few different things. Obviously, your 1977 championship game. You've posted some photos recently talking about that. Hard to believe it's been so long ago. I don't like to brag, draw attention to myself. I'm not that guy, but this is a big show today, Coach Weidman. We got the quarterback of the first ever 8-man championship team, you and yours truly, myself, the quarterback of the last 8-man championship team. So I don't know what took so long to get this together.
I'm kind of like an 8th back, not really a quarterback.
What are you talking about? You were a fullback, man.
I brought this bad boy.
Oh, look at that.
Mr. Jim Davis, I would guess. Jim Davis?
Yes.
He could look at a piece of wood and 5 minutes later, Louis XIV armoire would be there. He's got skills coming out the wazoo. They made replicas for us. I think they gave it to us at an inaugural. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong about that. But I brought it out just to look at my stats. On the back, they put our stats. You probably can't see it, but there's a list of them. 715 yards passing for the year.
Wow.
That's one game for you.
Yeah, not for me. No, sir.
If we ever have a quarterbacks club from Rio Hondo, I'll be the doorman or the valet. So.
No. You ran the quarterback sneak better than probably anyone I've ever seen. 9 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah. I was bigger than my lineman.
Yeah. Just a pile moving, man. Those linemen were great. I've had a few of them on. I had Mike McGarren, a few beasts. I had Jim Hanna on last week, even. Just some great football players that I know you're very proud of, your former teammates.
And Dr. Walsh.
The good doctor. I've heard, as nice of a man as he is, he was a pretty nasty, tough football player.
Yeah. He almost ripped Harper's head off, one of the good running backs on Montclair.
Oh, wow.
Didn't get called either. It's just right across the face. No.
That's fantastic. I love going down memory lane. And the first time I was a kid, and Mount Kare is a special place. And we were there, and the coaches were like, we're going to watch the 1977 CIF Championship game. And we're sitting there watching our coaches. Oh, there's Mr. Shintaku. Oh, there's Mr. Wideman. And we're pointing at all the, oh, there's Mr. Murphy. And it was just so cool to see your adult coaches grown up, however old you guys were then. And that film, man, it still holds up. It's still quite powerful to watch that thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I watched it a few hundred times.
Yeah. You guys look so fast, or maybe that was just the technology.
The Super 8,
Oh, okay. I got it.
I had an athlete at every position, really.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
No, it was McGarren was like probably the best athlete on the team. He played nose guard and center.
Yeah, that's what
Jim
said.
Mr. Johnson tried him at quarterback at the beginning of the year. He would always make the wrong decision on the option. He said enough of that. get that idiot Weidman in there. But no, if McGarren should have been a running back, but he just ran through brick walls. So
Yeah, just a great teammate. Sounds like would do anything you needed.
Yeah.
And we can't talk about Mike McGarren without the play, really. Mike McGarren hiking it through your legs to Chuck Mariotti for that game tying touchdown late in the fourth quarter. There's video in that film where you're over there on the sideline. There's a nice close up of your face talking to Randall Johnson. Do you remember that conversation at all before the play? Yeah,
dude. Nobody's mentioned it in all of your interviews yet. We tried that play in the first half, and it didn't work.
You're right.
Yeah,
Okay.
It was like a motion penalty or something. So he said, "Look, we're gonna try that play again. Do you think it'll work?" I said, "Sure." So make sure your legs are wide. You've got to hike it through the legs, and make sure everyone's set. I said, "Okay, I can do those two things." And he just said, "Sell it." Put my head down. We went from there.
Wow.
He didn't make any moves. If you look at that one play, right, he gets about 2 yards. He gets the first down, right about 2 or 3 yards deep. There's a guy diving at his legs, and he jukes him, gets out of there. Then it's just off to the races.
I just can't imagine a play late in a game like that. That's what I always remember seeing you and Mr. Johnson talking on the sideline in that brief, like 2-second clip. And I'm thinking to myself, man, for a coach to make that call in that situation, talking to his 17-year-old quarterback or whatever, and just being like, and then you guys executed it perfectly. I mean,
yeah.
You guys have practiced it a lot in practice.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It was like Craig or somebody said, we invented those plays. Some of us. I didn't have anything to do with that one. But
yeah.
Hey, Mr. Johnson, how about we try this? He said, sure.
But that sounds when they first brought it to you, hey, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hike it through your legs. Were you like, wait a minute, we're gonna do what?
And I thought it would work because we ran a lot of quarterback sneaks.
Gotcha.
You got a line of 150-pound linemen, but man, they were tough.
Yeah.
You always move people off the ball. I don't know how.
Those dudes.
But I thought it would work. Yeah.
Well, it did. And then Craig Klingman tied it with the big extra point. I had Craig on. He was fun to talk to. Craig had a big touchdown reception in that game, if I remember. He kind of dodged the guy, and it was.
Yeah, I got a bone to pick with him on that one.
Oh, yeah?
Said I threw a duck. Craig, it was a frozen rope, 30-yarder. If you would have missed it, it would have embedded in the bank.
You did throw that
ball. It was a duck.
You did throw that thing pretty hard.
Back shoulder pass, man. So,
back shoulder. Okay, you're ahead of its time.
Before.
I got you. That's what I think happened with that is some quarterback somewhere was like, you know what? We're just going to rename this bad pass. Let's give it a fancy name. The old back shoulder fade there. That's great.
You look at it, he had to stop to catch it. The guy goes speeding by and
he took off running, scared to death. Oh, he was so much fun. And a lot of guys from that team have been a blast to talk to on the podcast. And we keep bringing up the game, but it's still so legendary and iconic. The 1977 victory. If you had to sum it up, kind of that season, what that meant to you and your teammates, I mean, I know you still are very proud of that. You got the trophy there, or a replica of it anyway. I mean, tell me about the feelings of that season and kind of what it meant to win that game.
Just a real team effort. There's nobody bigger or better than anybody else, even though we had some guys that were awesome. Ken Fuller, I mean, what a guy. He tore meniscus, I believe, first game or something like that. Played middle linebacker on and off throughout the season when he could go. You watched that championship game, and they were diving at his knees the whole game. I don't know how he did it. But yeah, what it meant to me, I'll never forget it. It's just awesome.
I mean, the game-winning play, Chuck goes in the end zone, and you get some air. You really do get some air, Mr. Wideman, when you jump with your arms raised. I mean, that moment just had to be that we did it. We beat Montclair.
Yeah, for sure. The previous two games, I was really nervous before the games. This last one, I wasn't nervous at all. I don't know why, but most of us said, "Yeah, I think we can beat these guys." And we come out in the second half and lay an egg. You know, quarterback sneak was right through my hands. I didn't run in for a touchdown. Crazy.
Crazy stuff indeed. Can you believe it's been, let's do the math here, 30, 44 years?
I think it's 44.
Wow. 44 years. That is so hard to believe. So I asked him
yesterday.
It does feel like yesterday?
Well, only when I watch the films.
Yeah. You're like, hey, it was
I
pretty
realize
fast.
it's today when I try and get out of my chair.
Yeah. You know, I haven't seen many. You seem like a pretty tall guy. I haven't seen many tall punt returners, Mr. Wideman. You had some moves back there fielding those punts.
I don't know what he was thinking. The first Montclair game, the ball bounced off my helmet, bounced behind me. I turned around to get it and bounced over my head the other way into the arms of a Montclair guy. I tackled him, but I single-handedly lost the game. That play and another play I'll tell you about in a second. But the newspaper made me out to be the hero. I call myself the greatest loser of that game. Mr. Johnson said I'd play a power 21 option, put the tailback in the slot, pitch to the guy, and he throws it down. You know, he has the option to throw it to the split end on a fly or run. I said, hey, Chuck, I'll be over on the other side if you need me. It's called the quarterback glory play.
Yeah.
You pitch it, and then the quarterback does a wheel route on the other side of the field.
My favorite.
Chuck, the moron, threw it to me. Intercepted by Willie Hurst or Tony Reed or something, one of those guys. Touchdown. We lost 26-20.
Ah.
And after the fumble punt on my head, they went in for another score. In the paper, I was the greatest guy in history of football. You know, felt like a lame-o.
Oh, man.
Side note on that one, you know, there's a bus somewhere in Mexico that's owed a wash and wax from Chuck and I. That was our punishment. Got to wash and wax the Academy bus. We never got to it.
That's great.
Johnson wasn't about to sit out the first teamers, I don't think, for when the league was starting. But
no, for sure. I talked to Mike Murphy about this because he was on the sideline actually in 2001 when we had our kind of similar game. Not as
that
quite
was a
as
great game, by the way.
You remember that game, Joshua
Yeah,
Springs?
I was nervous, boy.
Oh, we were not
We weren't supposed to win, right?
No.
Yeah.
We had no business really winning that game. And they brought all their fans. They were undefeated.
Yeah.
You know, it just killed everybody. And that guy still ran for like 300 yards on us. But
It was awesome.
I had the same feel, right, to that 77 game going into overtime. I mean, I can't imagine playing 3 overtimes. That's nuts.
That was cool. I felt like a toll booth collector most of the game. I played quarterback, obviously, but I also played safety. Mr. Lundy was a genius. He knew their strength was running, so he's got like a 7-man front and an 8 in the back. Well, if they get by the 7-man front, it's me. Jim Hanna, I'd like to thank you for the slow motion where I get faked out by Willie Hurst. I mean, I barely touch it. That's why I said I feel like a toll booth collector. Give me your money as you go by. Happened
Yeah,
like 5 or 6 times. I did make a few tackles though.
Those dudes are fast, man. Oh my goodness. Just flying by you guys. Jim Hanna, man, with that big interception in the third overtime, I believe that kind of, I don't know why they were throwing the ball after running the ball so well in that game.
Well, it was on and off. It was weird. You watch the game and they'll run 4 plays in a row where they just get smashed by Murphy or Walsh, or all they needed was a crack though. If they get through that crack, they're gone.
Yeah. All this stood between them and
I was there to get them at the end.
Weidman, the big man, Weidman.
They ran for 200 yards each.
Yeah. No, you had some great teammates. I've mentioned a few already. Just everyone seemed like you said, no heroes. Everyone just contributed. I mean, I look back, I look at those banners that hang in the Stivers Center, and I look at all the names from different teams sometimes, and I just look at you guys sometimes, and I think, man, what an absolute incredible group of guys. And you've really seen how great everybody was, just kind of in the lives that they've all lived in the kind of their adulthood, you know, that everything they've achieved now in life is kind of like, man, it all kind of started back in that season of football.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of grit to these guys. My tight ends combined averaged probably 230 pounds.
Wow.
130 each, you know. They were going against 200 plus guys. You watch the film. Finally, you know, after the 500 times I watched it, I started watching other people. Watched myself the first 500 times. And these guys are moving people 270 pounds heavier than them. Matt Rodriguez, Giovanni Crescioni. It's impressive.
Man. Well, let me ask you this about, that's kind of back in the day, but kind of just your overall thoughts on Rio Hondo Prep football. I mean, you've watched it 40 plus years now. I mean, both your sons played at Rio. I mean, what is kind of, if you had to sum up the program, or what makes Rio Hondo Prep football special, having watched it all these years and being a former champion yourself?
Just the fact that we take average kids and make them better average team, better than average team. This year, another case in point, a bunch of skinny kids out there and they're beating Charter Oak. How's that happen?
Yeah.
Well-oiled machine,
Very well said. What did you think of that game beating Charter Oak? With Wingate Park being right up the street, did you think the boys could do it? Be honest. It was a tall task. I think a lot of people were skeptical.
I was very skeptical, but I knew how good they were as, a team. I just didn't know how they do with the size.
Yeah.
And they weren't outsized terribly. So
they hung in there. One of the best non-championship
games.
Great. Man, that was cool. That was cool to see so many former Kare Youth League guys there and everything too, not just on the field.
Hope that gets a few of those guys that come to Rio.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, look at this is can't argue with the results here. 1-0. Come on over. I got to ask you about the Hortman Bowl. How did you and Mr. Because to me, those were bigger than any Kare Youth League games. The Hortman Bowl, Gators, Tigers, Cardinals in the snow up at Montclair on the meadow. To me, that was life and death. That was way bigger than any of the Kare Youth League tackle football sanctioned games we had. Those Wrightwood games on the meadow, no pads, just whatever your sweatshirts and your gloves and beanies. That was life and death. So the Hortman Bowl, take me how that all came.
The foundation of that goes back to when we were in Rio Hondo at 7th grade. We'd have to come down early. I got a ride with Dan Kirby in his 1966 Chevy. We overloaded it with about 8 people. They had to get there early for band at 6:30 or 6:45. The grass would be frozen out there at Rio Hondo, the little crust on the grass. All of us who weren't band, we get a little ball, we go out there and play and kill each other. And, that's kind of where the Hortman Bowl sprang from. I remember one time it was rainy. We went at it on Field Zeros. It's where the gym is now. It used to be called Field Zero. Head to toe soaked before school. Bell rings. 8 of us walk in and sit down, slosh in our chairs. And you guys go see the principal, please. We're in theater chairs, by the way, so it's soaked through the. But then that's kind of what Phil and I go, it'd be really cool to do that up at camp in the snow, frozen tundra like the Vikings. Yeah. So we just named it the Hortman Bowl, and we went at it.
Yeah, the Hortman
There
Bowl.
were some battles.
Yeah, Division I. Anthony's tackling guys like the Soto brothers there. Those dudes were so huge, and there was no weight limit up there. It was just like, hey, let's go. Snow everywhere. That was just the best. Oh man, I wish other kids could experience that. Let me see here. Let's go back to kind of the beginning of when your journey with Kare Youth League started. I asked many people this is, well, how did you discover Kare? Did you just stumble upon the property one day? Did you know somebody?
I was a child of divorce. My mom got remarried to another gentleman. They had an older stepbrother, Clay, and he was in the program on Crystal. Sure, they were red and gold, I think. They melded with someone else and became superior later on. But I'd go down there and watch him play, and I'd like to join. You want to be on Crystal? Or you want to be on Atlantic? The Kirbys were 2 doors down. They were on Atlantic. I said, I'll be on Atlantic. That's kind of how it went. First time I went down there, they went to this old Atlantic, had a treasure chest, a big trunk,
Nice.
Open it up. There's these moth-eaten uniforms. They slapped one on me. And we went and played kickball. We had kickball season.
Wow.
And they stuck me out in right field. And
go figure.
I caught the ball. Next inning, I was at shortstop.
Yeah. Working your way up.
Well, those uniforms are great, by the way. They were cotton. When they came, they were yellow. You knew you were a good guy when after about 5 washes, you were all white. You could tell the rookies by the uniforms.
I love some of those old photos of the old uniforms. There's a really old. You weren't this far back. I don't think there was I think guys are playing.
Pleistocene age.
Guys are playing football in like jeans and no shoes or something.
I wasn't quite the shoeless guy, but I did play in jeans.
Yeah.
It didn't require football pants, so we didn't have a whole lot of dough. I remember my first helmet. Oh my goodness. It had little ears, it wasn't quite a dome. We're still playing with ears, a little plastic bar. Inside, there was just leather straps, no padding at all. And I used my head.
Of course, as all little kids do when they first learn how to play.
Yeah.
Just sticking your head in there.
It's insane.
So as a kid, you play all the sports, and I don't know if this transferred to high school, but what was your favorite sport as a kid growing up, or did you have one?
I would have to say football,
Mm-hmm.
just because I was naturally good at, well, not naturally. My grandpa Weidman played at Ohio State back in the day. My dad ran tailback for Capital University. It's a small university in Ohio. My uncle Giles was in the first football team at Air Force Academy.
Wow.
So, yeah, I got some jeans.
Definitely.
Some jeans when I was wearing my jeans.
Yeah. Wideman jeans.
But football, basketball, and baseball, I could take or leave. But then it ended up being basketball was probably my best sport at the end.
Oh, okay. Now, what the Wideman heritage? Was your family kind of from Ohio, from the Midwest?
Yeah, I was born in Cincinnati.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
And unfortunate family situation, moved to California. Fortunate for me, BCL was there.
Worked out.
Air Youth League.
Yeah. So is there any soft spot there for Cincinnati or Ohio sports?
No, I hate Ohio State.
Good man.
Fight on.
Fight on. Well, we have to talk about the recent news out of USC. And have you penned an apology to the Clark family yet about poaching their coach from Oklahoma? Have you?
I'm trying to restrain myself because I know how much it hurts.
Oh, I know. It's gotta be.
We can't crow yet. We haven't done anything in 10 years. So
no. So what do you think of the Lincoln Riley hire?
I think it's superb. I think he's going to be able to hold the homeboys home. Big lineman, which is what we need. Nasty lineman. I think we'll take off from there.
How interesting is it that all this fancy stuff in football, it always comes down to the big uglies up front.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't
it? No matter, you could put it to pen to paper any way you want. It's all about the big guys on both sides of the ball.
Except Rio Hondo football.
That's right. That's
weird.
right.
I guess that's maybe what Rio Hondo football is all about.
Yeah, you got that right. Yeah, finding a way.
Handsome fellows instead of the big uglies.
That's right. I'm curious. I think he went to USC for a lot of reasons. 110 million of them.
Yeah.
But that's a big deal. But I think you come out. It's either compete in the Pac-12 when you have probably all the talent you can find right here in your backyard, or go to the SEC and be a small fish in a very big pond.
He probably would have competed in the SEC, but I don't know if he could have overtaken Alabama.
Yeah.
Pac-12, he's gonna. I think he'll be able to recruit better than even Oregon has been doing.
Yeah. You're a lifelong, I'm assuming lifelong Trojan fan. How frustrating have this last decade been for USC football?
Don't talk to my wife. Miserable at home when they're not doing well.
Oh, poor Jenny.
Me and Greg Bollinger commiserate weekly or daily on stuff. I mean, if my grandma were playing some guy from USC and Tiddlywinks, I'd be voting for the guy from USC. So
that's such an older leader comment. I've heard Tiddlywinks from other leaders. I'm like, what is Tiddlywinks?
Yeah, something you'd flick with your thumbs. I don't know.
Well, I was shocked at the news that he did, in fact, come out here.
I was blown away.
Not what any of us expected. To the Clark family, my condolences. Hey, they're going to find somebody and they'll be just fine. Although and then Brian Kelly leaves Notre Dame for LSU. That one was even more surprising.
That was strange too, but the money talks. I think Notre Dame didn't build him the facilities he wanted either. He kept promising them the new physical ed center or whatever.
It's crazy. It's just, college football is just a different animal. It's so much money in it, and the programs that spend, demand results, and that's why it's so competitive. So I can't wait for hopefully some Rose Bowls, maybe some other playoff games. We'll see.
Playoffs,
I think,
please. Yeah.
If they go to 12 teams, do you like the idea of a 12-team playoff?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give more teams a chance. It's more exciting, and there'd be less barking about, oh, we deserve to be number 13. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I like 12. I think it's a good number. I would be fine if it went to 16, but definitely 12. Give the 4 top seeds a breather, and then make the lower 8 teams, make them play 3 games. I think that's completely fair and subjective. You still give room for the little guys, the Cincinnatis, the Boise States of the world too.
Yeah. Amen.
Oh man. And those Bruins, man, to me, that was the hitting rock bottom was 2 weeks ago with the loss, the beatdown by UCLA.
Went to a football game and a basketball game broke out.
Yeah.
62 points. I mean, ouch.
That one hurt bad. Anyway, now talk to me about the Los Angeles Rams, because I'm a huge LA Rams fan. I see your beautiful sweatshirt on there. Were you a big Rams fan before they abandoned us and then return, or
I've been a Rams fan the whole time.
All right.
In St. Louis, everybody thought I was nuts. But
yeah, same here.
Yeah, I like the old guys, Jack Snow, and before your time, Deacon Jones and Merle. I remember those guys.
Man,
we'd be 18 and whatever, 16 and 0, and we come to the Vikings and lose every year. In the playoffs, or something stupid like that.
Yeah. My dad told me all kinds of stories about, Rams playoff games and such. And I grew up on the likes of, Jim Everett and Tony Banks. So I was like, oh, they're never going to win. And then the magical year in 99, the Kurt Warner movie's coming out this Christmas. You going to watch it?
I like that. I like the way that happened too. I feel sorry for Trent Green, but it's a nice story.
It really is. It really is.
Stocking shelves, and all of a sudden he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Unbelievable. I think it's still one of the best stories in all of sports, really, if you really look at it from a unbiased perspective. Anyway, I got to ask, what do you make of the new uniforms? Are you for or against them?
I don't like them.
Yeah.
I think Chuck Knox design, when he put the thing on the shoulders, it was really good.
Oh man, that's Chuck Knox. Yeah, that was a ways ago.
The original Rams were kind of blah, and then Chuck Knox did them up a little. Was it 70s or 80s? I don't know when he came. It must have been the 80s.
So I saw a photo of you and your son at SoFi Stadium playing the Cardinals, ironically, which I guess was his favorite team. And your first experience seeing the new stadium. The
stadium blew me away. The game was terrible.
Yeah.
My son's a big Cardinal because he was on the Cardinals. The only reason. And this stadium is awesome. I don't think there's a bad seat in the house, and it's 70, 80,000.
Wow.
Or by any means in the greatest spot, but I felt like I could see the whole game and enjoy it. That screen is something else too.
I was wondering about that.
I was wondering how you could see it, but
yeah,
you could see everything really well. So.
Well, the Rams got to play those Cardinals again here next week on Monday Night Football. What are your thoughts on the last 3 games from our Rams? Just kind of getting punched in the mouth, 3 consecutive losses.
Yeah, I think we miss Robert Woods a lot. He's those little inside handoffs, possession receivers, receptions. I think we're in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny how one thing can change an entire team. It could be, it's not a big deal. Well, actually, yeah, it is. And it's not a defensive league anymore, but when you have the 2 best defensive players arguably in the game on that side of the ball, it's been frustrating for me to see.
Getting home though, that's the problem.
No, can't get pressure. It's like, get there. Come on, get that pressure, man. Where's Von Miller? Where's
Well, you got there once for a 15-yard penalty.
That's right. Oh, don't get me started on. I hate the
touch the quarterback.
Touching the quarterback on the defense, 15 yards. I mean, it's just it's
terrible.
I mean, you would have been a 3,000-yard passer back in your day if those penalties were called.
Right.
Throwing more frozen rope ducks to Craig Klingman. Yeah, I don't know.
Laser beam.
So, Mr. Weidman, do you coach now with Kare, or are you just kind of what are your current?
I'm like the boy who plugged the dike, the little Dutch boy who puts his finger in the dike to save the town or whatever.
Okay.
I'm going to be coaching probably kindergartners basketball coming up right here. I just help out here and there when I can. I'm supposed to be in charge, walking around, make sure everything works, but a little bit of a coaching shortage. Boys are coming in like crazy, but we need coaches. So.
Oh, that's good to know. You think there's maybe a hunger or a thirst for kids to get out and play after kind of being bottled up for a year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think definitely. It's probably the biggest we've ever been. We always hover around 1,000 kids, you know, the whole organization. I think it's like 1,200 right now. So.
Oh man, that's really good. I always look like I see like, okay, 4 teams in each division, it seems like, and I'm thinking back to like when I was playing in the 90s, it was like, there were 7 teams at each level, at each age, 4 in the West and 3 in the East. I mean, to me, those were very high numbers, and to see only kind of 2 or 3 teams in each, you know, each division, or 4 or 5, I should say. I mean, I don't know. The numbers seemed low the past few years, but you're telling me they're going up.
They are. Sky's the limit. We have coaches. It seems like kids, if we could get kids. Irwindale's running 3 or 4 clubs right now. I had the coaches. I could probably be running 2, and Upland's got 1 going.
Well, what are your thoughts on, I mean, the Irwindale complex being there? Number one, it's closer to Wingate Park, so it's a lot easier to find for parents maybe who are in the Eastern program, because that was something that was very unique when you have kids out there at Wingate Park. Hey, we're going to travel to Arcadia at this other facility or main facility and play teams instead of just this location. I think the Irwindale Park, Kare Park has been an incredible success so far.
It's been awesome. It's I was afraid it was going to ruin our clientele. You know, Baldwin Park is kind of right there. They go either way. You know, do I want to go to this new shiny place or the shady tree needle ditch place? It hasn't worked out that way, you know.
Yeah.
Still got people coming from Baldwin Park. He's getting some of them, but it's really, I love that place. It's awesome. But
it's really something. I'm a little partial to, you know, the creek bed and the trains every 9 minutes. To me, that's home, you know.
Yeah, that's home.
Let me ask you back to your Kare Youth League days. You went through the program. Who are some of the leaders really that had a pretty big impact on you in Kare Youth League or junior high or wherever?
Yeah. Mr. Orsborn was my first leader. He was awesome. I didn't like camps and outings, but I went on it because you were supposed to, you know, be part of the team.
Yeah.
I was a homeboy. But I loved his Bible stories. He did a really good job with that. And I love sports, obviously. But the way he told the stories were just captured me. So Mr. Lambert's my junior high coach. He's a soft-spoken man, but really deep. So he carried out the tradition of telling the stories, or the stories, Bible lessons, put it that way. I really sunk into my heart. So,
was there ever a question of you going to Rio, or did you know after your days in Kare Youth League, hey, this is where I want to end up in high school?
Okay, well, my family was really lacking funds. My father lived in Iowa, and I wanted to go to Rio. In 6th grade, there was no Rio, but we had like a school team of wannabes, guys that want to come. So we played other, you know, Poly, Claremont, or not Claremont.
Ridge.
I don't know.
Webb, whoever.
Schools in Pasadena that had 6th grade teams. We weren't part of Rio yet, but we wanted to come. So I think my grandpa got together with my dad and said, yeah, okay, we'll pay for it. And that's kind of how I got into it. But the Clifton, I tell you, it's Clifton's middle school in Monrovia. I was a 6th grader there.
Oh, wow.
That was no fun.
We played them.
I remember that 25 cents I loaned you, boy? No. Yeah, I loaned you 25 cents, but I handed over now. I learned how to play chess at Clifton. Library was open during recess. So I went to the library and played chess. I could keep my money.
Yeah.
But
we played.
Rio was a revelation. It was wow.
We played Clifton in basketball one year in junior high, and Todd took us over there, and we got our heads kicked in, and it was like, oh, we're not very good. Oh boy. So no, I like hearing stories kind of like of that, of how people came about Rio, because it's not easy for everyone. I mean, there's different paths for everybody, and I think Rio really works with people to try to get kids in there, which is great. I always tell people when I tell, I went to Rio Hondo, oh, you're a private school kid. It's like, hang on, Rio is probably the cheapest private school around, and it's very different from any other school out there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, just case in point, this Charter Oak game. Kids are out there, not the Charter Oak game after that where they lost.
St. Pius.
Thank you, Saint, whoever the Saints are. It was a really tough game. Those kids were, I mean, some really large boys they went against. Less than 10 hours later, they're out there coaching their own teams with a smile on their face. You know, it's Rio Hondo.
Yeah, I'm into that.
More than just going to school, it's giving back.
Service to others. I mean, and that's why so many alumni end up in service to others, whether it be coaches or firefighters or what, military. I mean, there's just a ton of that. And so I would put Rio Hondo alums as a whole up against any other student body out there. I think with Rio, you get more with less, as you kind of talked about earlier with football, but you experience so much more than I think any other kid does in high school.
Yeah, well, for sure. We beat Montclair, the 77 game on Friday. Tuesday, we were in Montclair's gym getting our head kicked in basketball.
Oh, I did not know that.
We did everything. You had to play every sport. So, yeah.
You played them 3 days later in basketball?
3 days later at their home, and they beat us by like 15 or 20. Because probably that was the worst team in the history of Rio Hondo Prep basketball. It was my favorite sport, but we didn't have a lot of help. So.
Yeah. What about your coaches in high school? Randall Johnson, Gary Lunny. I mean, I don't remember everyone who was coaching back then. What were kind of your leaders like in high school? What did they mean to you?
A lot. Yeah. They were both geniuses in football. Mr. Johnson gave us club meeting the first year, and then after that, Mr. Hampton took over. He was more of a sports leader, but man, what a genius. We got stuck. It was right before the first half of that 77. Go back to the 77 game. We got stuffed on the 3-yard line. We're going in for the final touchdown. We hoped. Then we tried to hike through the legs thing, which failed. So he subbed in all CIF, all everything, Ken Fuller. And Montclair goes, oh, that guy, the all CIF guy's in. All right, tackle him. Do a 31 option. Everybody comes, sucks up, and he throws it past the Klingman. Touchdown.
Great call.
So, it's just, he really had a mind. Great mind.
Oh, no doubt about it. I had the opportunity to play technically for Mr. Johnson, as a freshman. He was helping out with the JVs, and he was kind of transitioning at that point to kind of not coach anymore. And just be like, man, this is Randall Johnson, the Randall Johnson, it was just an honor to be on a football field where he was still coaching. But anyway, after high school, Mr. Weidman, what was that like for you? College, RHLA? Did you try your hand at various crafts? What was after high school like for you?
Oh boy. Actually, it was a lot different then than it is now. You had a lot of responsibility, no pay, and you're expected to do it. And then you had to get school in there somehow. So it took me like 8 years to graduate college. I'm not blaming it on RHLA. It's just lack of discipline on my part, But I would go out to Citrus, get there about 10 minutes late for first period. Okay. I'll sleep. I'll go to second period. Wake up. Second period started. Okay, I'll go to third period. And, failed that class, obviously. But it was a lot of dedication by all those people. I mean, you don't see that nowadays.
You knew that you were in the right place. You knew that God wanted you there, and that to get over this hurdle. I looked at college as a hurdle, just another obstacle, really. Let me get through this. And to your point, I don't think we had the same schedule as you guys did, but to graduate college while in RHLA is a tremendous challenge. It really is difficult.
You really have to give out, give up yourself, not be too self-centered, because it was hard. We all had, Craig Klingman and I worked at the Women's Club in Temple City to make some dough.
Yeah.
I'd come in there some nights to do my job. I'd find him sleeping on the couch. He was a great guy. He's a great guy. Sorry, Craig, you're not dead yet.
He still is. We love him. He's incredible. Nice
we
man.
had to work hard, and we our group loved to play sports, so we formed an archery baseball team, and that was over and above everything. We'd drive to the game, throwing socks and hats on, getting there 5 minutes before the game, and go out and face some guy throwing 90.
Didn't you get to play at USC in Dado Field?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I say yeah because I struck out like 5 times.
Hey, you got in the box at legendary Dado Field.
Yeah. It was an awesome experience, but the main team was somewhere else. These were the leftovers, and they messed up bad. Really bad.
And they still beat you guys up pretty.
Like 15-2 or something. It was a lot of fun.
No, RHLA, you learn really to manage your time. At least you will eventually, because every second of every day. I remember I was a janitor, I was coaching, I was commuting. Right. I mean, there's just no time for anything.
Teaches you responsibility.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. So now when there's like downtime, which isn't that often, I'm like, oh yeah, well, I think back to RHLA. Oh, I used to do all this stuff, and definitely a time for younger men indeed. But how did you get involved in See, I went to Rio in 7th grade. All my friends were like, come to Rio. And especially in 6th grade, when you were teaching 6th grade, because they're like, we got this great Mr. Weidman. He's so funny and he makes learning fun and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay.
That's why they put me out here.
Yeah. What did you think of teaching?
I really enjoyed it. Mrs. Dowd asked me if I could teach a class one day, and I've been in archery for a few years. I said, okay. I finally graduated with a history degree. I said, sure, I'll volunteer. I volunteered to come and teach 8th grade geography. That was exciting. Classroom management wasn't real good at the beginning, but you learn.
Learn as you go.
Anyway, about 5 or 6 years later, I was going to get married to Jenny, my wife. I went and talked to Mr. Dowd. I can't volunteer anymore because I was making my money like as a pool man. I didn't have my own route. I worked for a guy, cleaned about 30 pools, 40 pools a week, taught school for, an hour in the morning, coached in the afternoon, so forth. And I said, Mrs. Dowd, I'm going to get married. I got to go full-time pool and take care of my family or whatever. She goes, well, hang on. Let me get back to you on that. But we're starting in 6th grade. We're going to try and have 2 6th grades, you and Mr. Horton. I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. That's kind of how I started. And then Rod Eaton came in later, and we took off, did all the Egyptian Day things.
I remember those. Yeah, I remember seeing that. That's awesome.
I don't think they learned anything, but they had a lot of fun.
Hey, when you're dealing with 6th graders, I mean, come on.
Right.
It's an interesting age. So how much are you really going to learn anyway? I guarantee all those kids are like, oh, 6th grade was the best with Mr. Weidman.
Our scores went up once in a while.
Yeah.
Right.
Was it because you're a sports guy? I've always wondered this, like dealing with kids in sports is one thing, but then when you got to go in a classroom with 4 walls and have to educate, that seems like a bigger challenge to me.
It is, but the sports thing, you get them for an hour and you send them home 2 hours a week or whatever. You're in there in the room with them. You got to develop a rapport and keep them focused on what you're supposed to be learning that day. So it is a tough job.
Yeah. I God bless teachers.
Yeah. My wife's a teacher and I bow every time she comes home alive. So.
That is great. So no longer teaching, right? You stepped away from the classroom.
Yeah. They banished me out here. No, I'm just kidding. The job opened up and I said, yeah, I'll try that. I think I can handle it. I wasn't too sure. Taking over for the great Mr. Dowd.
The great Mr.
Dave
Dowd.
Reed was here before me. So
yeah. Well,
didn't want the ship to sink, but hopefully it's still floating.
I think it is. Well, I got to tell you, I love your social media posts, whether it's about a picture of a bird on a wire talking about the Falcons scouting you guys, or just the total randomness, old footage. You got a very dry sense of humor that I definitely appreciate.
Yeah, well, I try.
What was it like for you? Just we'll wrap it up here in a second, but what was it like for you to watch trying to remember the timeline of when your boys were playing Rio football.
I don't remember. I'm terrible with dates.
With dates, yeah.
Davis was the Salesian group,
Oh, yeah.
He had to sub in the injuries. Like Robbie Hanna got hurt, and some other guys got hurt that year. So I subbed him in a corner, and he did really well. He intercepted the ball in that semifinal game.
I remember that. Yeah.
Caused a fumble. They got it back, unfortunately. And one of the tailbacks broke away long. He was like 20 yards ahead of everybody. Davis sucked him up. And the guy stopped on a dime and he went flying by. I scored a touchdown. I was really, really proud of him.
Memory, like the old man safety chasing Willie Hurst, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Willie and Mark. I love those guys. Hayden was a beast. I mean, he's 6'4", 250.
Huge.
He did football.
Really?
I mean, he did it. He made all league first team, but glad that's over, Dad. Okay. You could have saved me some money with a scholarship, son. Yeah. No way. He wants to be a comedian. So.
Oh, okay. I love stand-up
Davis
comedy.
Is working at City of Hope now, hospitality or whatever. Right? Keeping spirits up. So it's what his job is. So.
Oh man, God bless him. That's awesome. That is awesome. That's can't be an easy job, but if he's got that
proud of both of them.
Weidman charm, I think, has a lot to do with it there.
Right.
Well, final prediction here that we talked to SC football. We think they'll be back quick, but if you had to predict going to your glass ball, what do you think is going to happen with the Rams here in the next month or so?
Oh man, I don't know. If they can handle the Cardinals, they got a chance. If they lose to the Cardinals, it'll be 5 in a row, 4 in a row.
Yeah, well, they got to beat those Jaguars. If they lose to the Jaguars, like they lost to the Jets last year, I might throw my remote through the television. I am not. You talked about your wife with USC football. I am the most impatient person watching a Rams game. It is 3.5 hours of just me screaming.
I have to turn it off if they're doing really bad.
Yeah,
I just can't. Ruins my life. Sports, who cares?
I know.
You guys are getting paid millions of dollars. Why should I care?
Why do I? I know you're right. Why do I care? I say the same thing.
Well, it's competition from Kare Youth League killed me. So
no,
everything's a competition.
Yeah, we need that outlet somehow, some way. So why not put our hopes and dreams into professionals we've never met who make way more money than
Dude, my wife laughs at me, and she's right, but I can't help it.
Oh,
I was raised. So.
Yeah, I know. Well, Ohio State, lost to those Wolverines last week. So I know you said you hate Ohio State, so that must have been fun for you.
That was fun. Cole Barrett is a big, Cole.
Oh yeah,
he's a big Wolverine honk. I can't figure out why. Well, these guys like these out-of-state teams. The Clarks are killing me.
Help me here. Help me. Okay, I understand. Okay, this is what we'll finish with because I'll let you go, but. Help me understand this. The people that root for teams who are not just out of the city, but out of the state. Now, people could argue with you and me. Oh, you guys rooted for the Rams. Yeah, but they have a heritage. They were from here.
Yeah. Cole liked the helmet.
Oh.
But that doesn't explain the Atlanta Braves to me either.
No, I've heard that story a few times. How he just
Clark's like Barry Bonds. I don't know why they started rooting for Pittsburgh teams, but Sooners I get. They're from Oklahoma. I understand that.
Give me a background. Give me a story. You got to have some connection.
Yeah.
That's my rule. But all these San Francisco 49er fans we have here in Los Angeles or Cowboys fans, it's like, what is wrong with you people?
Well, it's a big melting pot. People come from all over to live here. They bring their rotten teams with them. So
I'm with you. But then why aren't you a San Francisco Giants fan? Why aren't you a Texas Rangers fan? Why do you bounce all over the place? Be consistent.
Be loyal. That's what I say.
Be loyal.
I have some friend Phil and Joe Parker bailed on the Dodgers for a few years. When they had to going through who's that guy with the parking lot guy?
Oh, McCrook. Frank McCourt.
He's bad, but the Dodgers aren't bad. They're your team. They're supposed to be your team.
Yeah.
They're coming back now that they're winning. But
okay. Well, man, the Dodgers are losing everybody. It seems like they haven't made one big splash yet in free agency, and they've kind of been the free agency team now. Must be nice to be a pitcher and make $40 million a year or whatever Max Scherzer's kind of make. I can't
believe that.
No, it's
Dustin
crazy.
May. I hope Dustin May's alive.
Yeah. Well, all we can do is continue to root for these strangers, and hopefully that it fulfills a need of some kind. That's all we can do. And then maybe a Rams Super Bowl here in the future. Maybe, probably not this year, but man, someday it would be nice.
I want the USC in the playoffs. That's what I want.
Next year. Yes.
It's got to happen soon.
I agree. Why waste time? If you got Cal and Oregon State, I mean, come on. You got no juggernauts out here to go through. Take them down. That'd be fun. USC football, LA Rams football. I'm with you, Mr. Weidman. Thank you for doing this today. This has been fun chatting and finally getting to do this with you.
Yeah, well, I hope I didn't ruin your podcast.
Not at all. Not at all. We're going to have all those Cardinals.
The audience fleeing in droves down there.
All that Cardinal alumni coming back and tuning in to hear good old Coach Wideman one more time.
Yeah, they better listen soon because it won't be here long.
Oh, stop. Well, keep a good eye on Wingate Park. That's hollowed ground for guys like me, and just appreciate all you're doing for Kare Youth League.
You keep it up too. I really appreciate and enjoy your podcast. A lot of people do. They talk about them.
Thank you so much. I'm going to try to keep it going. Find the energy, find the time, one way or another. So thank you, Mr. Wideman.
The bottom of the barrel scraping today. Maybe we can find some top level guys later.
We're just going in alphabetical. That's the only Wideman.
Okay.
The W's. We're into the W's, and we'll go from there.
Mr. Zamboni's next. All right.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Go Rams, and we'll talk to you soon.
Fight on, Matt.
Thanks again, Mr. Scott Wideman, for coming on the program with me today on the Get Home Safe podcast. A lot of fun catching up with one of the Mount Rushmore coaches, really, of the West Covina Cardinals from back in the day. A lot of fun catching up with him, going down memory lane. My good friends, Jordan Ross, Jan Balon, George Colley, these guys who I played against as kids, I'm sure really enjoyed listening to Mr. Weidman there. A fun guy that we share some common interests: Rams football, SC football, just overall big sports fans. So a lot of fun catching up with him. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that as much as I did sitting down with Coach Weidman here on the podcast. And yeah, he is roaming the grounds there at Wingate Park, making sure everything's in order all the time. So doing a great job, as always, patrolling Wingate Park, and just greatly appreciate him spending the time with me today. That was a lot of fun. Merry Christmas, Mr. Weidman, to you and your family. And yeah, hopefully we got some Rams victories here this month, because we desperately need them. So a lot of fun indeed. Guys, we'll have more shows next week. Tuesday will be another just solo rant from me, coming up with analogies, coming up with some topics regarding sports, and bringing a top 10 Christmas list, if you will. Last Tuesday, we did top 10 Christmas movies. Next week, probably going to do either songs or traditions, or maybe just a food one. I'm starting to get more hungry with all the Christmas stuff being out. It's probably the month where you eat the worst, I would think, right? Cookies everywhere and sugary drinks, and just so much temptation. And you're like, oh, it's the holidays. It's no big deal. Yeah, let's eat up. So I might do something like that. What are some of the top 10 Christmas goodies, Christmas foods, if you will? But I'm working on it. Work in progress, as is this podcast every single week. But Tuesdays and Fridays is the new format. Tuesdays with just me, and then Fridays, hopefully, a guest, much like you heard today, Scott Weidman on the program. I have a few people I have contacted that I'm going to try to put together here for the next few Fridays, but there is always things can always change, we'll say. So stay tuned through social media, of course, to continue to be updated on the latest news and episodes of the Get Home Safe podcast. As always, our Instagram and Facebook page, Get Home Safe Podcast, our Twitter handle, Get Home Safe Pod, and our email address, gethomesafepodcast@yahoo.com. We'd love to hear from you. So if you have some topics, you have some challenges to my Christmas lists or whatever, shoot me a message, shoot me an email. Love to hear from you guys. Help stimulate conversation. I know it's just me on Tuesdays, but that's kind of the best time, really, to respond to this stuff. So get those in by the weekend, and hopefully everyone has a great weekend. We are 20 something days away from the big day. Hopefully you guys are ahead of schedule and counting down the days with me as well. And we're going to do that here weekly on the Get Home Safe podcast, 2 episodes a week, at least for now. Things can always change. So anyway, guys, good luck out there in the shopping world, the decorations, whatever you got to do. I understand Christmas is a busy time of year. It is for me. Barely have enough time to get this podcast out, but I'm glad I was able to. So guys, have a wonderful weekend. Thanks again, Scott Weidman. That was a lot of fun. But guys, as always, no matter what you're doing, whether you're out on the town or around in third base, get home safe.